Morning, Jackson, Mississippi, and all surrounding areas. You've tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts now. Right, meow. This is the Clay Edwards Show. I'm, of course, Clay Edwards. Good morning to everybody out there. Man, I had this whole idea coming in today that I was going to revisit one of my favorite shows, our very first show ever. I was like, man, I was like, I don't even have to do any show prep. I've got all the notes in my old podcast descriptions. I got here, I pulled it up. I did not have all the notes in my podcast description, so I'm going to kind of wing it through the next couple segments here. But I kind of want to discuss that the original premise was the 7 things that men struggle with privately, things that we don't discuss. And we're going to get to those, and it may be 7, it may be 8, it may be 2. We'll work our way through them this morning. But first, a little overnight news. It looks like Jackson is now sitting at 133 homicides. Barring another 21, we won't break the record of last year's 153. So at minimum, this will be the second deadliest year in the history of the city of Jackson. And we've had the 3 deadliest years in back-to-back years. We had never had more than 100 homicides prior to 2020. Then we had 123 in 2020. We had 153 in 2021, and we're sitting at 133 right now. They all end with a 3. But don't fret. We will not end with a 3 this year. There's 4 days left, and New Year's Eve is one of them. People always die on New Year's Eve in Jackson, Mississippi. Sadly. I want, if they counted like DUI deaths, does that count as homicides? Like if you're riding around drunk and you kill somebody, is that you go to jail? I mean, does that count towards the number as a homicide? Because these feel like if they're only intentional, I guess. So anyway, 133 is where we're at right now. Let's see here. Ken Primo passed away. The son of Angelo Primo, the founder of Primo's Restaurant. I think he was 98. All the Primo's restaurants will be closed today in honor of Ken. So a Jackson icon. I mean, I don't think that's putting it lightly. Has passed away. Primo's is one of the amazing establishments that's still around. Phenomenal. They got the best cheesecake I've ever had in my life. Free plug for Primo's there. I've been talking about that a lot lately, and I may have to get over there and finally get one of them. My mom had got one of their Italian cream cakes the other day for Christmas, and all I can say is, oh my. Oh my. It was phenomenal. I had one bite. That was all I could handle. I was like, I can't have no more of this. I will die. Let's see here. I got a text on the Guns of Gear text line. It says, did Angelo Primo, did he used to have the old restaurant Angelo's over on Terry Road? I'm really not sure. I assume that was the same Angelo's, but I really don't know. I'll be honest. I really don't know a whole lot about. I'm learning a little bit more about the families that owned all the restaurants. A lot of the Greeks owned a lot of these historical restaurants here in the area. And there's a new book out. We've had the guy on the show, Vincent Venturini. I think the name of the book's We Once Crowned Royalty, and it's about the history of West Jackson and downtown Jackson. And it's got a whole chapter in it dedicated to the immigrants that came over here and started these restaurants that have lasted. I mean, I guess Primo's and the Mayflower are kind of the last of the Mohicans, particularly the Mayflower because it's in its original location. But, Jackson's lost all of its OG restaurants that if you grew up in the 70s, 80s, 90s, hell, they'd been around longer than that, 40s, 50s, 60s. Other than the Mayflower, I think the Elite was one of the last. We got Crochel's over there. I hate that I forget about Crochel's sometimes when I talk about this because it is one of my favorite restaurants, and I do plan on getting over there soon because you never know when could be the last time you go. And I know they got a security guard out front, so it does help. And I highly recommend, we encourage avoiding Jackson, but try to frequent these good restaurants every now and then when you can. And you got some new and up and coming folks doing great things here, and hopefully they'll be the next batch of 80, 90-year-old restaurants. My buddy Lance over there at Capitol Grill, Chip out there at Acme Pizza, or The Gathering at the town of Livingston. I mean, there's a bunch of little places that are coming up that have really good food. We'll see if they have the staying power to survive. It does feel like the places that survive the longest have their own standalone buildings and end up owning their property. So we'll see how that goes. All right, look, if you guys want to text in, 769-241-1944. If you want to call in, 601. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. If you want to call in, 601-879-0002. Jackson still in a water crisis. Looks like 4 of the Jackson fire stations don't have running water. That's not good. But honestly, at this point, are you surprised? Are you surprised about any of this stuff? I know I'm not. I mean, nothing would surprise me. And again, they declared a state of emergency. They posted back up doing what they do best, posting videos and pictures of themselves passing out free water because they care so much. And I know there's people out there passing out free water that are good folks, and you do care. I get it. This ain't at you. This is at our politicians. But it's nauseating. It is so nauseating. I mean, they will trip over themselves to be seen doing a good deed. But if the cameras weren't around, you would never know. Because they wouldn't be doing it. They would not be doing it. Thomas texts in on the Guns and Gear text line and says, "This is the state's fault." No, it's not the state's fault. I know that's fun to say, but it's all Democrat faults. All Democrats' faults. Let's see here. Another text on the Guns and Gear text line says, "Why would you spend 2 hours in line for $5 of water? You can, you spent $10 in gas." See, that's it for me too. My time is worth more than just about anything you're going to give me for free. Especially, under $100. I'm not standing in line for a food handout. I'm not standing in line for a water handout. Drive your butt over to Rankin County, give us some of them tax dollars, and buy some of our bottled water. I mean, I don't mind. I got running water. I don't need the bottled water. I mean, I prefer the bottled water. But, I'll do my part. I'll drink tap water so you can have some bottled water. Come on over. Come to our Kroger's. We have more than one. Come to our Kroger's. That's the proper way to put the S on Kroger. We have 2 Krogers. We have one in Pearl. We have one in Brandon. Well, we also have one there in Flowood. So we have multiple Krogers in Rankin County. But the individual Kroger is just a Kroger, not Krogers. Pet peeve of mine. Quit making everything plural. Why do we do that in the South? Why do we do that? I have a whole video about this. We make everything plural. It doesn't make sense to me. Does not make sense to me. Let's see here. I've got this question of the day. I'm gonna play our song of the day when we come back. I was trying to get one of the podcasts downloaded and didn't have time to get it pulled up before I went live on the air. Question of the day: can men and women be just friends? I want to know y'all's opinion on this. Can men and women be just friends? We did this last week and we asked, is texting cheating? And at the end of the day, it came back to the context. What is the context of the conversation? So, can men and women that are just friends just text each other? Can you be just friends? My theory is no. And here's my point. Here's why I say no. I'll throw this out there. I think somebody in the relationship in the quote unquote friendship is only in the friendship because they haven't had a relationship yet. They're angling towards a relationship through the friendship angle, battling through the friend zone to become more than just friends. But that's just my opinion. Call in. Let me know. What do y'all think? Can men and women be just friends? And I want an example if you say yes. I need an example. 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. Can men and women be, air quotes in the studio, as Mike Madison would say, just friends? All right, let's take a break. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. We are live here in the Mac Hike of Flowood Studios this morning on a brisk hump day. I will never get tired of the hump day as long as it's coming out of my mouth, not that Camels in the god-awful commercial. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We are live here in the Mac Hike of Flowood Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Studios. Hey, man, get out there and see them here at the end of the year. They got $10,000 off select models out there at Mac Hike of Flowood, right there on Airport Road. Or I'm sorry, right there on Lakeland Drive at Airport Road. You can shop them online at MacHikeCDJRF.com. And they will get you rolling. Hey, look, if you're hungry tonight, pizza, it's what's for dinner. Check out Acme Pizza and Daiquiris right there on the Reservoir at Old Fannin and in Fannin Mart. They open daily at 4 p.m. They're open late. They got 9 different flavors of frozen daiquiris there on tap. They got a full bar, and they've got any pizza your heart can desire. And their wheel of flavor is phenomenal. You can pick up to 3 of their specialty pizzas or custom build your own crazy pie. They can do it all there at Acme Pizza and Daiquiris. They also have pasta, appetizers, burgers, and more. Acme Pizza and Daiquiris is also available on all your favorite food delivery apps, including Take a Break deliveries. All right, let's take a call here from Miss Sylvia. Hey, Sylvia, you're on there.
Good morning. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, too.
Thank you. I wanted to say the following. Yes, men and women can be friends. And one reason why I say that is that it's easier to have a male friend than a female friend, because sometimes females have a tendency to be catty. And I don't like to deal with catty. So a good portion of my friends are males. And I'm not interested in any of them in a romantic manner or anything. They're just flat out friends.
So let me ask you this. Do you set up boundaries on the front end and let them know?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Yeah, most definitely. Now, I'm not interested in you beyond friendship. You most definitely do. Now, especially if it comes up, because I remember a male friend of mine saying, oh, well, you know what, it could have been you and I. I said, no, it couldn't have been you and I don't like you that way.
Ain't no you and I.
I know you and I. But anyway, I know there's double negative. But as I said, it is easier, and women have a tendency to be catty. And when you do have a set of women who you can be friends with, most of the time that I find is people who are secure, mature Christians. And if folks that aren't ladies, just they care about hair and stupid nails and so-and-so is dating such and so-and-so has this in their yard. Oh, it's a mess. So I don't deal with catty women well. And that's really all I wanted to say.
But hold on. I want to ask you one more question about this.
Okay.
So do you think that most men go into a quote-unquote friendship with a woman maybe just trying to play the card of friends to get to know each other better? Like, do you think all men go into that with ulterior motives? Or do you think there's some guys that are literally just want to be friends, that are just happy in the friend zone?
I think it's a possibility, but as you said earlier, boundaries need to be set. it is a possibility that someone could think, oh, I'll be their friend, and then I'll grow on them, basically. But as a whole, for me, no.
So lay out some ground rules and stand by.
Yes, once I establish you as a friend, you stay a friend. I'm not interested in anything beyond friendship.
Well, you know what I say?
No, what is it that you say? I'm afraid to hear.
Breaking rules when necessary. Thank you, Sylvia. Bye.
All right, have a good day.
Bye. You too. All right, let's see here. Wah, wah, wah. All right, on the Guns and Gear text line this morning, unknown texter says, it depends on who it is. Some men or women can't because they are serial daters. They don't know where one relationship ends and another begins, and therefore cannot be trusted to be just friends. It also depends on how long someone is friends. I have a few guy friends that I have been friends with since third grade. There's no history, so it's evident that we are just friends. Now at 38 years old, but becoming just friends with your opposite sex coworker one day is a little sketchy. Opposite sex friends should know their place. Yeah, look, I mean, I think obviously people can be just friends. There's people that I'm just friends with that I have no interest in having any type of romantic adventures with. I mean, at the end of the day. So, we are just friends. I get it. You can. I know the answer to the question. And the whole friends with benefits thing that's not just friends either. You're more than friends if there's benefits involved. Even if there is no quote unquote emotional attachment, which I never doubt that. See, in my personal opinion, if you're hooking up with somebody, especially more than once, somebody likes the other one. I mean, at minimum, somebody is attracted enough to send that late night text or however that's arranged. That's just my opinion. I don't speak from personal experience. Thomas chimes in. Let's see here. He says basically Miss Sylvia is saying that she is down for. No, I can't read that. Let's see. They can be friends if one of them is ugly. This unknown texter. Unknown texter. And a lot of y'all have sent me your names. If I say unknown texter, I'm terrible at going back in and saving these. So my apology. It says pet peeve of mine, like there is a West Jackson. That's got to be. Oh yeah, there's no West Jackson. Sorry. Reagankin says, of course men and women can be just friends. The problem is America has sexualized everything, producing the stereotype that all men are animals and all women are targets. Everything is about choice, maturity, spirituality, and boundaries. I agree. I tend to agree. Let's see here. Roger texts in. Clay, we call it K. I'm sorry, this is Cheryl. I don't understand that text. I'm sorry. Let's see here. Kimberly says, yes, they can. They can be just friends. All right. So that is the Guns and Gear text line. It says men and women. I think people tend to agree that they can be just friends. I just have a theory. I know I probably shouldn't even give my opinion on this. I just think that depending on the context, if you're randomly texting somebody of the opposite sex about anything other than something specific, business, for example, there's an attraction there. I mean, you may not act on it, but if you're randomly texting a male or female and you're the opposite sex, and just about, hey, what you doing? You got plans? I just don't think you can be just friends. At the end of the day, you may be able to stay in that friend zone because the other person's not interested and you just decide you're cool with that. But I don't think you can, quote unquote, long term be just friends. That's just my opinion. All right, so I was wanting to do this show this morning on the 7 things men deal with privately that they don't tell their partners about. my list was actually better, but I found some here. And I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to my own dang podcast to remember what I said. It was my first show ever, so y'all bear with me. It was 2 years ago. And I've got my notes at the house, but I found this list here online. And it's like one of them is, and I'll kind of give my opinion on this. One says he feels rejected sometimes. And I think that goes back to insecurities. If you're with a good woman, she will make you feel like you're the king of the world. Women, hear me out on this. You want to be treated right. You want to be pleasured. You want to be all that. You want to feel like the queen of the house, the pearl in his eye. Make him feel good. Make him feel like he's second to none, and eliminate his insecurities. And your man will not feel rejected, and you will be happy. Let's see here. Number 2. He feels lonely sometimes too. Yes, man, we do feel lonely sometimes. Like when somebody's going to come over and they don't show up. We feel lonely. Let's see here. Number 3. He's afraid of opening up to you. Well, that would be on her. She should make him feel comfortable enough that he can tell her anything. But he needs to know that she'll do the same to him. You open up, man. Tell each other bad things that you've done in the past. You'll feel better. It'll be what they call it, mutually assured destruction. If I'm going to tell you something messed up about me, you're going to have to tell me something messed up about you. So it's kind of like a suicide pact. We have to agree that we ain't going, if you tell my dirty secret, I can't tell your dirty secret. I'll tell your dirty secret. You know what I mean? It's like a bargaining chip. I have to know something bad about you if you're going to know something bad about me. And so open up to each other, give each other something to hold on to. And then I think, once you kind of get the weird thing out of the way, you'll have a better appreciation for each other. But look, I give great dating advice. I don't necessarily take it. So take that with a grain of salt. Number 5, it upsets him when you only focus on his mistakes. Well, first off, we don't make mistakes. So this is clearly written by a female. Men do not make mistakes. Next. Number 6. He doesn't like being stereotyped. And, of course, it has a picture of a black guy here. Let's see what it says. Let's actually read this here. It says, speaking of guys doing their part around the house, stereotypes regarding which tasks are for men and which tasks are for women get under men's skin, too. I hate when people assume because I'm the working husband that I do nothing, wrote one Reddit user. I cook meals, pick up the kids from daycare, do the laundry, do the cleaning. And another user chimed in, when my children were younger, women would refer to my care for them as babysitting. It isn't babysitting if they're your own children. You're being a father. Now, I could go on a whole nother rant about that. I can't stand parents that brag about being good parents. But I take care of my kids. Well, here's a cookie. You're supposed to. You're supposed to take care of your kids. You had them. Take care of your dang kids. You always know. I mean, Facebook has just destroyed this, hasn't it? You can always tell there's those people, you don't even know they have kids till about once a year when it's their birthdays. And I can make an argument. I don't put my family on there too much anymore because there's crazy people out there. But I think my case is a little bit different. But, brag about your kids, boo-boo. It's all right. All the time, not just on birthdays and holidays. Here's another one here. This one's weird. It says, number 7, he has a few secret crushes. Most men also harbor secret crushes. It's likely not anything serious, and it doesn't mean he's any less in love with you, but there's almost certainly someone out there who gets him acting flirtier and friendlier than usual. Well, see, that goes back to what I said, right? That goes back to my question of the day. Can men and women be just friends? He has a secret crush. Well, I bet she has a couple secret crushes too. And, and I think that's what leads to divorces. People start looking outside their marriage and start looking at other things that please them. people on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I saw a post a little earlier, right before I went on the air. Somebody shared. It goes, "You think you got a good man? Go look at how many naked women he follows on Instagram and TikTok, and find out how good of a man you got." I was like, "Ooh, attacked." Let's see here. Derek chimes in. It says, a quote of the day: "The deadliest enemies of society dwell within its borders." Yep. All right, let's take a call here. We got Derek on the line as I read his text here. Hey, Derek, you on there? Hey, you're on there?
Hey, Clay, it's Derek. How you doing?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Hey, I just wanted to respond to your question of the day. I say yes, they can, because you got to understand something. In this society, modern women are taught that they can have it all regardless, and they don't have to put in much effort. So when you get somebody that puts in a relationship and then nobody reciprocates because they're going with this strong, independent woman narrative, it's just a matter of time before somebody trips.
I agree.
I mean, you know, in the black community, I'm just going to speak on experience, and you know what I'm talking about already, right? I have become the best version that I could possibly become of myself, but it's still not good enough for a lot of black women. They think that the Sex and the City lifestyle is real. You know, they think that Basketball Wives is real. You know what I mean? And it's always, they think they deserve this high income earning person, and that's only 1% of the entire population, both black and white. You understand? So priorities are all screwed up.
I think you need 2 working people in a house.
You do. You need 2.
And I'm gonna tell you, this is kind of pulling the curtain back a little bit on my personal life. When only one person gets up and goes to work every day and is creating new adventures, new experiences, new memories outside of the house, and they come back home and the other person hasn't left the house or hasn't gotten out in the world and doesn't have anything to add to the daily conversation of how was your day, it gets very repetitive and very old, just being the only person explaining how their day went.
That's why working from home has been the worst thing that's ever happened to society during the scandemic.
Yep.
That has ruined more relationships than anything with this whole working from home scenario.
I could not agree more. And I'm telling you, there's a lot to be said for that, engaging in new conversation and not being the only person engaging in it. That I know that put a strain on my marriage, because I just felt like I already know how my day went, and I know how yours went because you didn't leave the house. You know? Yep. Derek, I got to take a break, brother. Great phone call. Let's take a break real quick. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back on 103.9 WYAB. Breaking rules when necessary. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We are live in the Mac Hike of Flowood Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram Studios. And this segment is going to be brought to you by our friends over at Watkins Construction and Roofing. It says, kudos. I'm going to read you some of their reviews, man. Nobody can do it to tell you better than their happy customers. So I just decided this is the best way to tell you all about Watkins Construction and Roofing. Mr. Radio Man might not have the best experiences or might lack of them. So let's hear it from their customers. Kudos to Mr. Michael Hemphill and the Watkins Construction and Roofing family team. They are top-notch professionals. From day one, Mr. Hemphill provided a thorough inspection of my roof. He knew exactly what documents and photos I needed to assist me and my insurance company. He was never too busy to answer my questions. I now have a great quality roof, and Watkins and Construction and Roofing did it. That is a 5-star review from Diane Macon. If you need your roof looked at, check them out online at WatkinsConstructionInc.com. Locally owned and locally operated right here in Central Mississippi by my good buddy, Mr. Michael Deere. That's Watkins Construction Roofing for all of your roof repair or replacement needs. All right, we've got a call here on the Clay Edwards Show hotline. Hey, caller, you're on there.
Good morning, Clay. Big Ed on this end.
Hey, brother, how
A
you doing?
wise woman I once knew many years ago gave me a piece of advice I think is very apropos to your topic this morning. She told me, if you don't do your homework, somebody else will.
Amen.
So I'll leave that thought with you. Enjoying your show, buddy.
Hey,
Stay warm.
Thank you, brother. Touche.
Yep. Take care.
Yep. Yeah. You know, learn what your partner likes. Listen when they talk. Again, I give great advice. I don't necessarily always take my own. But let's get back to our little list here. And look, y'all know we'll get back to politics when the time is right. I just ain't feeling it here at the end of the year. It's just, I read all the news. I go through it all. And sometimes it tingles my senses and I want to talk about it. And other times I feel like I'm just looking for things to be mad about that don't really make me mad. And if I'm going to keep doing a show, I can't do that. I just can't. There's going to be things I'm really mad about that you'll know. Trust me. It will enrage me to the point that I have to talk about it. But I think we have to have palate cleansers like today. And we've been having a lot of palate cleansers the last week or so or two. It's just what I'm going through in my life. And this show is a reflection of my life. So thank y'all for indulging me as I go through this stuff. Let's see here. No, we're back to our list here. And this is actually a list of like 23 things, not 7. But I think this one's interesting. This one's interesting. It says this kind of goes back to our talk about can men and women just be friends. I think the next 2 of these do. It says he has a friend or coworker who was originally an object of his affection. And it goes on to say, you know, that female friend of his who's just the full package. Yeah, odds are he used to harbor feelings for her. Many men are attracted to their attractive friends and may have even started the friendship as an angle to get a date with that person, says David Bennett, a certified counselor, relationship expert, and co-author of 7 books. This doesn't mean they will act out on their feelings, of course, or it doesn't mean that the other person wants to partake in those feelings. Look, man, men gonna shoot their shots. If she's hot, I'm pulling the curtain back here. If she's hot and he's texting her, it's because he's shooting his shot. I'm just telling y'all. We all got an ugly friend we can text if we just need a shoulder to cry on. He's shooting his shot if she's attractive. Anybody, men gonna hate me for doing this. Women, if your man has an attractive friend, he's trying to be more than friends. That's going to come back to bite me in the butt later. That is going to come back to bite me in the butt. I shouldn't have said that. All right, number 9. That friend, that air quotes in the studio, friend of his is actually his ex. Says, whether it's because they want to protect your feelings or simply avoiding the argument, men are not opposed to telling half-truths when it comes to their exes. That's true. That's true. I mean, you may get introduced to somebody, and I think we've all done this. Women do this too. I know this for a fact. You know, you'll casually be somewhere with your current significant other and run into your former significant other, and you'll just get introduced to, hey, this is my friend. Meanwhile, y'all are way more than friends. But both sexes do that. That is not just men that do that. Because at the end of the day, there's long-term relationship exes, and then there's short-term relationship exes. It ain't no point in getting into every partner you've ever had with somebody. Because let's just admit, as adults, if you've dated somebody a week, a month, or a year, or 2 years, you probably had some kind of intimate relationship with them. That's just what adults do. So that's just my opinion. Let's see here. Some of the text I get that I can't read. So that's number 9 there. Let's get down here to number 10. Says, let's get down to number 10. It says, he still has baggage from his previous relationships. Well, that's both parties there. Both have baggage from previous relationships. Ain't no doubt about that. All right. Okay. Now, this one's a little different for me because I personally do not do this. When I break up with somebody or I get broken up with or divorced or whatever, we block each other. Like, I don't want to see your stuff. You don't need to see my stuff. Maybe that's petty, whatever. I just think it closes a window for nonsense. But it says, number 11, he still checks his ex's Facebook or social media in general. That's something I don't do. Like, day one. Honestly, maybe day negative one. If I know we about to break up, I've already blocked you before I've done it. And there's a good chance that you've done the same thing. I'm all over social media. And I just know that when you break up with somebody, you really don't want to see them all over. Like, I think you're a weirdo if you go look at your ex's social media. And if we're talking or dating and you're looking at your ex's social media, I'm going to make it a lot easier for you and just open the door for you to go on back to your ex. There's no reason to be looking at your ex's social media if you don't want to still be with your ex. That's just my opinion. Number 12. And he still compares his life to theirs. That doesn't sound interesting to me. Number 13, he compares himself to everybody else too. Uninteresting. Number 14, he's drinking more than he's letting on. People do that. Let's see here. All right. Let's see here. On the Guns and Gear text line. Now, you know what's funny is people will tell me that they don't enjoy these topics, but these topics drive the absolute most engagement on the text line. My buddy says, you're right. In my 20s and 30s, I couldn't have a pretty female friend. Touche. Unknown texter says, no, this is actually Robin. Robin says on the Guns and Gear text line, if they've dated before or hooked up or anything along those lines, they absolutely cannot be just friends. Exes cannot be friends either. Now, I'll say this. I do have a couple of exes that I'm very friendly with, and there's nothing there. But I'm very upfront. Like, if my ex from 10 years ago meets my new girlfriend, then I'm going to say, hey, this is my friend so-and-so. You know, we used to date a decade ago. That doesn't bother me. Let's see here. Got one more text here before the break. Says, totally disagree. Households can work with one person having a job as long as both people have a purpose. Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, I do. There can be a stay-at-home parent that does all that stuff. Different deal there. We'll close on that. Let's take a break here. We're live in the Matt Kike of Flowood Studios, giving bad relationship advice here on the Clay Edwards Show today. We'll be right back. Breaking rules. I think we broke some rules today. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We're live here in the Matt Kike of Flowood Studios. Today is a 1-hour show, so we got about a minute left here. Real quick, man. It is fried pork chop day out there at the Gathering at the town of Livingston on the corner of Highway 463 and Highway 22 in Madison County. Get out there and grab their world-famous fried pork chop. And hey, look, get over and see my friends at A1 Gear and Auto if you are having any automotive issues, especially with that ring and pinion, axle, drivetrain, any of that stuff. That's their specialty, but they can take care of anything. Heat on the fritz, air conditioner on the fritz, check engine light on, tire pressure monitor lights on. Get by A1 Gear and Auto, located right there on 49 South in Florence. Hey, look, this is a blast today. These are the kind of shows I love doing. I'll probably hear about all of my bad advice later. We'll pick this conversation back up on my Facebook page. Make sure you're following me there. Just go send me a friend request or hit the follow button. That's just Clay Edwards. I'm wearing the yellow 94 Tick shirt in the profile picture there. Jim Thorne up next. Podcast will be available shortly. See y'all tomorrow. ClayEdwardsShow.com.
Thanks for listening. Tune in tomorrow at 7 a.m. as the Clay Edwards Show discusses all that is going on in and around the city of Jackson.
This concludes our broadcast day.
Right here on 103.9 WYAB.